profession of education has one foot in the future and one foot in the past. Our rapidly changing world is rich with complex challenges unlike any modern generation has ever faced. The headlines tell us our children will face unprecedented change and uncertainty. Yet despite society's sense that we should do things differently, we steadily march on with the same school model as always. So what is school anyway?
Education.
A path for a better future.
Educational. A drag.
Tiring. Awesome. Community.
Stressful.
Integrity.
School's fun.
Fascinating.
School. I think school in general, it is very similar to how it used to be, and there are great teachers who make changes, but there are a lot of models that follow how school has always been, and that we have to look to the new research to show what can we do to make changes, and I think we aren't making enough changes.
So I think a school is a place to prepare young people for their life post school. So after school, have we prepared them, whether that's academically in terms of grades and certification, or whether that's just how they behave in society and how they behave with one another. Yeah, so it's not just academics. I think it's just developing the person so they can have a positive effect on society.
Okay.
Yeah. School, I think it's a really changing place at the moment. I think we're needing to consider, lots of different approaches to education. But for me, I think that school is a place where students learn skills. So we have to be focused on skill development. So in our curriculum, the MYP, we have a really nice description of the approaches to learning skills, of which these skills are required for students to address the higher levels of each subject's criteria. So I think that school is where kids have to learn skills, and I think particularly social skills. So human interaction rather than foreign interaction.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who said that content is should be more in the forefront, that kids can learn skills through life, but having that content knowledge that we push?
I guess every child that we work with has in their pockets a device with every single piece of content knowledge that exists in the world. So they have a phone. You can take 2 seconds to find the answer to find the closed answer to any question you care to ask, and cat videos. So yes, you could certainly argue that content is still important, and of course it is, but what's more important is the ability to access and critically evaluate and synthesize the content.
As we explore new ideas in education and dabble with the idea that maybe content isn't as important as it once was, we often rush forward, brandishing our technology and leaving the past behind. However, Andy Hargreaves' 2007 cautions against this. In order to successfully navigate the future, we must be informed by the past and build on the successful elements of what has come before. Knowing what is good about what educators have done and are doing is important to carry forward.
Relationships. I think that's the most important. It doesn't matter what kind of environment you provide. It doesn't matter what kind of chairs, what kind of tables, amazing technology that you have around for the students. The most important aspect of school that I never want to lose is a relationship between the teacher and the students and their peers, because the teacher helps facilitate that. And if students are in a school where they have the opportunity to learn how to interact with adults and other students, then that sets them up for their life in any job or in any role they complete in their future.
In the current school model, tell me one thing that you could just never let go of, that you think is deeply important in school that we already are doing, that maybe we have been doing for a long time. What would that thing be that you could never let go of?
it would be citizenship. So the way that it looks in our school is called service learning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as educators, it's our duty to teach students to care about each other and to care about their communities and to give back to their communities. And you don't have to be wealthy or entitled or be at an international school to do that. So kids have to look around them and look for a need and how they can respond to that need around them. And it could be directly for other people, but it could also be for issues and causes. So if we're not doing that for our kids, I don't know what the world would look like in the future. Yeah, so absolutely for me, service.
As well, what's one thing you think we should keep?
The care for students,
Mm-hmm.
the pastoral side of it, if you like. I think that's one of the strongest foundation blocks of a school, of an institution. Is the care that is there for the young people. I think, not just in private international schools, but in all schools, I think young people need someone other than their parents to look up to, and to know is going to be like a role model, for example. Sometimes it's not their parents at all, and in those cases, students need it more.
Absolutely.
So I think the pastoral side, the care of it, is paramount, and is one of the, in my mind, the only sort of main foundation block of a school, and then everything else builds on top of that.
Educators, as we have just seen, have a deep understanding of school and what is good for kids, but they are bound by expected traditional outcomes. What is holding us back?
I think it's like fear of the unknown. It's just tradition, and most universities, right now, our clientele in this setting, in this school, is you do well in school, you go to university, you get a good job, and then you have money, you have a good life, essentially. But I think there's a slow shift, and I think it's slow because I don't think I'll see it in my lifetime.
Oh yeah.
That actually shouldn't just be exam focused, and can you get 40 plus points to get into this degree, and then you get into this degree, and then and then that shows that you're going to be really good in this role as this job, when actually the skills that are important are social skills and communication, for example. And did you really need to have an A in mathematics?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a slow shift in that, and I think it's just a very historical and outdated approach to education.
I thought about framing this story as the wonders of technology in the classroom and its power as a force for change. But technology is only a human-created tool. It is only as good as its user. Granted, it is a very powerful, influential tool that often seems to shape us, but it is not the story here. This is a story of being human. It is a story of coming to know ourselves a little better as humans in order to be able to imagine something different for the next generation. This very important imagining is often left to educators and their students. Paulo Freire called this relationship between teacher and student a process of mutual humanization. He recognized that to learn is a deeply human process that cannot be delivered, but rather it is a process of growth and formation that emerges from engaging in a problem. Despite great efforts by old-school chalkboard pedagogy to deliver learning in what Sir Ken Robinson called the factory model of education, in reality, in the words of Al in November 2012, only a learner can own the learning despite concerted efforts to capture and quantify it. Learning is a process and a journey, best instigated as an investigation into a problem. Michael Fullan 2012 refers to this as learning to learn, and he believes it must be rooted in the purpose and passion of the student. Here's Kylie Begg on this idea of seeking problems as a learning experience.
I believe that this is where you make the most meaningful learning. So the times that I've taught using this approach, you give the kids the problem and then they learn the content and the skills as a response, so learning as a response to solving a problem, I think is really powerful. So an example of that was last year we were looking at 3D shapes and we were looking at surface area to volume ratios, and I didn't teach the kids anything. they knew a little bit about what pyramids were and what prisms were, and they knew what faces were and that kind of thing. But I didn't teach them how to calculate volume. I didn't teach them how to calculate ratios or surface area. I didn't teach them how to make a net, but I just gave them the problem that they had to make a juice box with a given set of specifications, and then they had to go and learn all of those things in response, and it was awesome. It was amazing. I had kids making like truncated octagonal prisms, which I also did not know how to calculate the volume of, so it was a learning experience for everyone. Yeah, it was good.
Fantastic. So you became a learner with them as well.
Yeah, true.
So for educators, as we continue on our journey of change and are pulled, pushed, and pressured by technology, politicians, and market forces to shape education in their image, we must remember that learning is a human journey of self-discovery, and learning communities work best when, as Mitchell and Sackney 2016 found, they function as living systems. We are in a place in history where the issues faced are steeped in complexity, and the solutions may be informed by the past, but must be faced with solutions yet to be imagined. Our children need to be prepared differently than we were for this challenge. We must remember that our inherent knowledge of the child gained through our experience, inquiry, and study is foremost in leading for a better educational paradigm and a better world.